It's time to spotlight the bearish case for AI, and joining us now is David Traynor, the founder and CEO of New Constructs. David, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think regardless if people agree or disagree with you, it's important to hear other thoughts than everything is rosy. So let's start big picture. You want to give us your kind of bird's eye view of how you assess things here with this AI spending and the boom?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Alex. Look, we're not trying to spread fear or rumors. I mean, we're just going the extra mile and looking in the footnotes. And when we do, we see another 500 billion in off-balance sheet debt that represents more spending and more negative cash flow than what the market thinks. Oracle was the first canary in the coal mine. We've since discovered around 248 billion in off-balance sheet debt, so they have the most off-balance sheet debt. And by the way, if you look at operating cash flow in the cash flow statement, it was a positive 17 billion over the last 9 months and from the last quarter, where when we look at the trailing 12 months free cash flow, it's a negative 200 billion. So there's a big swing there. And these swings are very important. We actually just published a piece, it was a very popular piece, on residual value guarantees that Meta is reporting, and this is yet another way to hide debt off balance sheet. People don't realize that these guarantees, these not yet commenced leases, these are not really optional, because in the race to win the AI game, these companies have to commit this kind of capital to keep up. So if they choose not to commence these leases, or these guarantees don't necessarily have to get forced, that means they're giving up and they're quitting, which is what we just saw recently when Oracle decided to walk away from a major data center.
Yeah, and so, David, I really appreciate this perspective and the work that you and your team are doing as you're getting deep into these deals. You're seeing kind of the messiness of some of them, I guess, to put it lightly. I got a question for you I'd love your thoughts on that's even just higher level thinking of, hey, these companies are spending tremendous amounts of money. They're not going to do this without hopes of somehow getting a return on that investment at some point in the future. To me, I don't see how there's any logical conclusion for there to be a return other than mass job displacement. And if that's the answer, who's going to buy these products if no one's working? How are they going to have any income? So that's where I've always kind of gotten this circular kind of confusion of, if what you want to happen happens, is that even good for these businesses?
Right. AI is sort of heads I win, tails you lose. Alex, I think it's a great question. I think, the first question that we need companies to answer is, how will they, to your point, how will they earn an adequate amount of cash flow on the hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars being deployed to build AI right now? And that's a great question, and no one has a good answer. And I got another one for you, Alex. I don't think the spending is about to end anytime soon. Not only is this super high rate of spending a way for the bigger winners in AI to force their weaker competitors out of business, which is what we're seeing with, I believe, Oracle and potentially Amazon and potentially Meta.
All right, David, final question for you. You guys, back in November, I believe it was on the 10th, you pointed out to Oracle. We've seen what's happened since. You mentioned Amazon. You mentioned Meta. Is there another area of the market that you raise your eyebrow at right now that drives some concern?
Not so much as concern as opportunity, because there are a couple of AI stocks that we pointed out last year that we said, hey, listen, a lot of these AI stocks are super expensive, but here are a couple that are really cheap. And those have, while, for example, Oracle's down about 37% since that November report when we called it out as a canary in the coal mine, these other stocks are up 50, 60%. So it's not all doom and gloom. The point is to have a sober perspective on where cash flows are strong and weak. And sometimes you got to go past the headlines to get that answer.
All right, final question. I lied. One more. Is this correction in Oracle, in your mind, enough to change the concern then? Or is there still further repricing that you think that needs to happen?